Hey everyone, welcome back to the Intelligent Conversations podcast. Today I have the honor to speak with Michaell Magrutsche. Michaell is a creative artist and is an art researcher. He believes art is a critical part to reveal who you are and find yourself as a person. So Michaell, thank you for coming on today. I really look forward to learning more about you, and I think the audience does as well. But I like to kind of start with this question, kind of get you a chance to introduce yourself. And that is, so you've done things like produce fashion shows, you've created music, screenwriting, directing. You've been in that creative space. So I kind of want to know what kind of got you down that path, that creative journey. What was the start?
The start was, I'm born in Vienna in Austria, and I was born as a sick child, and I was sick till I was till I was 25 or something. But when I went into school at 7, so they held me back for a year, I got the second slap in my face that I couldn't understand, so that I found that I was dyslexic. And actually I found recently, like 2 years ago, that I'm also dysgraphic, meaning when I write down something, I cannot decipher what I wrote or cannot find the context of that if I look at it in an hour, so I'm lost on that. And so I would speak of the class. I never had any problems with humans, but with systems I had, because I wasn't adapt for the systems, because I needed more time to understand and all this stuff. And one of my, so basically I'm totally self-taught, because I just couldn't fit in. And what I realized when I was 30, that I always had an art job, from a disc jockey to a fashion show producer to advertising to video to whatever. I was always an artist and creative. And I think then I reflected on that, and I realized that it saved my life, because I felt normal in the art community. And actually what I promote more than the art project is the art creating. The art creating made me feel that I'm okay. So it started with mixtapes, that I sold out of my trunk. And I had basically my taste for art. Other people liked it and reflected to me. Not what how good I was in school or anything, but nobody cares about that anyway, So
Exactly.
So that's I found. Art is really a superpower. The creating art, especially, and I'm focusing on that. And my last book that I wrote, The Smart of Art, was about that superpower, about separating the product of art, which is the art product, whatever comes out, the music, the poem, the painting, and the creation. And I realized that we observe art as a society from the product. Nobody gives anything about creating the art, or like you creating the bot. I mean, basically, the society expects you making a podcast, and be perfect, right? But you discover yourself when you create something. And that's really the human value. It's so much more than going to school and try to regurgitate something that was pre-approved before and is already a copy of something. You creating something fresh, even if podcast is not a fresh thing, but you creating your slant. And in that slant of creating, you learn about yourself. You get wisdom, experiential wisdom. And I think we totally overlook that, totally.
I agree. I think especially a lot of people, right, they're so obsessed with what you said, the product, right, what you get. And I'm like, as human beings, what we are naturally drawn to do is to create, right? Whether we're creating families, whether we're creating businesses, whether we're creating art, whatever it is we're creating, that's something that just drives us. We love to create things. And I kind of want to ask this, why do you think the focus is so much on the product instead of like the creating.
Because it goes by financial principles. I can tell you right away, but it's you create something, and what people feel is that they feel that power of creation. Because when you started the podcast, you had no idea. You said, okay, go this way, this way. And then you changed it and you learned more about it. And basically your podcast is the product of your conversation with your imagination, with your non-physical. And I think people resonate with that. When you be an artist, you constantly do that. And what happened is that the clearer you are in that communication of the inspiration to you, the clearer that message will be conveyed in your product, your podcast or whatever. And then people resonate to you unconsciously, but they resonate to you and say, oh my God, he's a great musician or whatever, or a great podcast or whatever. And it just I want to give you a real good insight of that. It's just basically people, a bicycle, just a regular bicycle. So you're looking at the market and say, okay, there's blue and red bicycles. Now I make an orange bicycle or a green bicycle. Okay, that's different, but still it's a bicycle. With art, there's the freshness of art is because art for art's sake, you're just creating. You don't know what comes in, a poem, a word, and you get from that. And you look at this and say, oh my God. And the freshness that people find in that is what resonates with them. Because we really don't want to see copies of what we are very short, when you can figure out everything from just looking at it, it's boring. That needs to be discovered. It's like a story that you have heard 100 times, but this is what makes money. So the successful stories in systems are what people are in your minds, what people relate to.
I think that you hit it right on the mark. I think a lot of people, right, there, especially since I'm in business, right? Like I like, again, that's kind of my passion. I like to create businesses.
Yeah.
And the one thing they tell you though too is to optimize, right? Like, oh, if it's working, right, you're making money, you're getting customers, all those things. You keep going down that path because it's working, type of thing. But oftentimes you kind of get afraid to not try anything new or jump into other pools because, well, it's working. Why would I try something else? And what's funny is if you don't go and do that, then that's when you end up getting like competition comes along and they beat you out. And creativeness is what drives innovation and all those things. And I've definitely had my hand in that, and it's fun experience. But I guess what I'm getting at is how would you because it's not easy, I would say, to create things, because it really takes time, like with yourself. Like you have to think hard and take other people's ideas and kind of mesh them together, and it's this complex thing. How do you kind of deal with, like, because I find sometimes I get like down on stuff like, oh man, why am I not getting the result I want right now? Like the product, I guess. Why am I not seeing some of these results? What's kind of your advice for that?
Number one, you need to be aware that our financial system, our financial principles, every system, religion, state, government, but a club, Democrats, Republican, whatever, business, think are all based on, even nonprofits, on financial principles. We have, and I think every businessman has to be aware of that. We've exhausted our financial potential because finances are static. They go on they have to grow. Every season, every quarter has to grow. We can't even say any more loss. We say negative growth. When you pay me $10, just that thing, sorry that I interrupted. So $10, if you pay me, 4 people make money. That shows you how worn out there's no cash available anymore. So everybody makes money, and systems like to make money where the other person gives the illusion that the person gets a great deal. So it's, as long as I can get you and lure you to that you get a great deal, or I'm fulfilling you. The system says the very famous words that I keep saying every time. It should be, this is the biggest. It's all based on the big marketing lie. Life should be sunny every day.
Yeah.
And if it's not, we sell you a Ferrari, a pill, a face job. And then if you buy the Ferrari and the pill and the face job, and you're still not happy, what does the system say? There's fundamentally something wrong with you. And there is nothing wrong with you, because when you exist in nature, the ant or the elephant, you are worthy. You have different functions and you're worthy. We are part of nature. We cannot be not worthy. But navigating humanity through systems like experience being a human through systems. We believe we are not worthy. We have no system value. You and I don't have the system value that Elon Musk has, but we are worthy as much as Elon Musk. Do you see that? Do you see how we screw ourselves up? And I learned that from creating art. I didn't learn that in a school or a university or in a book.
So it's almost like taking the approach of like not comparing yourself to other people and realizing, hey, they're just another human being.
Exactly.
And I am capable of doing the same things as they are.
In your way.
If I choose to go down that road.
In your way. Because if somebody has the frequency that he always is successful or is always lucky, then he will be always lucky. But if you have a thing of you're always losing, then you lose always. It's just but you have to show that to humanity. See, it's not what we understand in systems. It's like I always say that this other sample that I say, a beggar on Fifth Avenue in New York has more impact than you and I. Why? Because people go on the other side of the street. They make a thing around him. They talk to him. They give him money. So there's all these variation. They're true. There's all this variation of thing. And some people look away. They don't want to think about it. But in recognizing, they think about it. If they're not conscious about it, but they think about it. So he's a beggar. And the sad thing of the whole thing is it shows system thinking. He's not aware that it influences. There's the value for him that he sits there. He needs to sit there because, according to systems, he's worthless. He's a nuisance, and he basically would be better. The world would be better. The system world would be better if people like him don't exist. And that is the sad thing. And that's when we experience our humanity through systems. Yeah, which we all are grown up. We are born in a hospital. We are getting a religion. It's all systems. We are so conditioned that we take it very seriously. We take in systems very seriously. And what happens then is, you ask me the question, I want to come back to that. So why, with this awareness that we just described, then now look at your products and everything. And is it really, the truth is not in the system. The truth is, what am I contributing to humanity and who am I? I always say, know thyself is very honorable, but also know how humans function. Not in systems, how humans function as, we are part of nature. You just need to look at animals. Animals have always fun. If they hunt and kill when they're hungry, but every dog is always happy. Why can that be? We are part of that. We can be happy, and what we do when guys meet each other or girls. What do they do in the first 5 minutes? They're joking around.
Exactly.
So the serious of business is that you focus on things you don't want to do to get the job done. And everybody in this world has to get their job done, even rich people, because of the lack of cash and the lack of money, available money, and opportunities to actually make a living. We work to survive. And that is,
Exactly.
and that's the sad thing. We don't work to live. Our grandparents and parents, they worked hard to live, to get on vacation, have 2 cars. You know, if you get sick, you don't work a month or whatever. But they work to live. Now we work to survive, because the flaw, the principle. I love exchanging, that you give me something and I can give you money, because I don't have anything to exchange. But other than that, the financial system is very flawed. And you see that now in all the symptoms. It is very flawed system. It's not, what actually is the value is time. Because everybody has the same time. By existing, you have the same time that you or me, other than you're sick, but you have the same time. The real value should be exchange of time and not exchange of money.
I think you hit it right on the mark too. I think, right? Because everyone's spending their time in unique, different ways, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I always use this, right? From a financial standpoint, we always look at the lazy slob on the couch, like, oh, he's worthless. And I'm like, no. Ask him a question about any TV show, any video game, and I guarantee he can answer you, because he's spending that time doing something, right? Now, as a society, we view it as, oh, this is productive and this isn't, type of thing. And then you get rewarded for that. But that's kind of my thoughts there, is I think everyone's time isn't worthless, right? And again, it's that exchange of value.
No. You said every thing is value. Every human is value in his way of form. So this is like you're conditioned by systems and whatever till 7, 8 what it is to be human, and there is the first thing, because you're a system defined, and then you go to school, you get more system refined. That's why we have 97% or 98% of geniuses, before they start school, they're good at one thing. For example, looking at TV shows, and they have insights. When you actually have a conversation with that person, he's probably insight into TV shows that could be super valuable, all right? But we haven't discussed it. So the reason is what the system requires. So the system requires, you're lazy or you're not, even if you're productive. I work my whole life. I don't have vacations or anything because I love what I'm doing. But I'm not system relevant. I couldn't pass school. According to system, I'm a nuisance. I'm a loss. And so that means basically, according to systems, I shouldn't exist because I couldn't even get to grade school, So I'm just saying, I'm saying, look at it from the system side and the human side. In the human side, we know every person, like in nature, it doesn't make mistakes, right? Nature doesn't make mistakes. We're in systems even clear about that. But we are part of nature, and therefore every living being has worth. We haven't figured out their worth yet, or they themselves haven't figured out their worth yet. But in the system thing, it doesn't have anything,
So you keep mentioning this systems thing, like systems, right, that are in place. And I kind of want to ask you, how do we kind of shift those? Like, one, I guess there's a first question. Are those systems required? And two, what would you do if they are required to like fix them, kind of put in better ways?
I would say, so systems is basically a tribe. It's a bigger tribe. A tribe that,
okay.
So a tribe that, a system is a man and a woman together, a family, because they feel by them being together, they have a higher chance of surviving. They're safe and secure. If the husband watches or, out for them, or the woman takes care of the baby, they're more secure. And the tribe is this when, it goes to the next level. That's why we live in cages in our apartments, right? And then we go in a restaurant where that's the fireplace. That's where, usually we meet the tribe meets by the fire. And in the tribe, when they say systems are the best with 150 people, a part of 150 because it's the most efficient in the human. They said when you have 150 people, you have one lawyer, one medical doctor, you have all these
One of everything.
one of everything, and 150 is repeatedly comes up as being the perfect pot for a sustainable and very efficient community. And that would be a system, because a tribe is not even, one tribe is probably, how much is a tribe? It's like 20, 30, 40, 80 people, So the system, that if you had a system, it should be 150. So the problem happens when the system expands. Because the system first is here to give you security, safety, and allows and this is a key point, allows to have expansion of our human potential. Because with 150 even, there will be problems that you have to solve with we don't have any. So it's expanding our human potential. And what happened in systems is they become so big, and because they are on financial principles, they have to be motivated. They are motivated primarily of financial principles, not because, hey, this gives us security and safety, and it shifts from security safety. That's why we created a family, a tribe, a system, to where we are now, where we are afraid of systems. So a system, for example, Russia and Ukraine, kills 80,000 people. The system we created. We cannot submit to a creation of us. It's like God coming down and says, okay, I'll let that humans do to me whatever they want. I'm not a religious person. It's just wacky. So what I think is how to do, you ask me what would I do with the system? First of all, you got to be conscious of this, that, for example, when we create new taxes or computer viruses, there's antivirus program. Then you better viruses, better antivirus program. What is the sad thing of this? Not that they make millions of dollars. The sad thing is that both humans waste their energy, time, quote unquote time, not on human potential, but on maintenance and system maintenance. Because like taxes, the one, a new politician comes, makes new taxes, and on the other side, and families with 3-4 kids, they create the best creativity, the best new tax system. And then the same for kids, whatever, put all their creativity to navigate the taxes. And that is all okay. But the time they spend on navigation and maintenance. And this is lifetime. This is not like you and I talking right now and exploring each other and exploring thoughts. This is just like everybody needs to navigate the system, and everybody needs to create new systems. So we're all wasting time, lifetime. That's why I said lifetime is really the value. We waste that on system navigation or maintenance.
I think you're right on. I think, especially in regards to maintenance, I like to use analogies, if you haven't noticed yet. So especially on the energy end of things, forgive me, I'm not like an expert by all means in the law of energy or anything, but I know one thing, right? The energy you put in, right? There's things that are dispersed all over the place, right? The thing is as humans, we have a lot of energy in us, but then it decreases as time goes on. And oftentimes you find, right, to your point, that we spend a lot of that time just doing maintenance things, right? I remember seeing something where we spend like a third of our life sleeping, right? We need it. We need sleep. It's something we need. And that's time out the window. And then like if they break down your time, and it's like, we really only have so much time, and we spend it doing some things that are like, do we really need to do this? We could be doing so much more, type of thing. And that to me is, I think that how you spend your energy, how you spend your time is very important. So I'll ask this, how do you think we should spend our time just every day? Because I mean, we obviously need the essentials, right? Like eating, socializing, sleeping, those type of things. But how should we spend our time if we're wasting it on maintenance? And
we're not conscious. We only spend it on maintenance. I mean, how many forms have you filled out that you have to read 8 times? And I dyslexic. For me, it takes 3 times as much as you to fill out forms. And How many times? And then you can't use the form. You did the false form, and then the process of going through something to save, money for the employees or whatever. I mean, have you tried to get help today? And everybody's on AI and wants to sell you that, like the Ferrari, the pill, and the face job. But have you tried AI? How limited it is, how out of context it sees everything. Humans are so valuable. And I think one of the powers why we don't see it is because we don't see that we waste all that time. That's why I say once you cannot unhear this podcast episode, So everybody that wants to be more aware, just listen to this episode a couple of times, because once you're aware, you can't forget that. Because you're living it every day. You're wasting your time in traffic jams and all this stuff. And you try to listen to books on tape or whatever, but it's like you wouldn't even listen to the books on tape. But you listen to a book to give some value to that experience, that repetitive experience. And repetition is programmed by systems. They like the successful repetition of patterns. And they sell that, but it also makes life boring and stagnating. Every living being has a challenge. Every living being, like the ant, the elephant, you, me. Tell me, and I'm asked that question always. I said, tell me a time in your life, if you had money, no money, whatever, when you were not challenged. You were living, and by being a living being, you are challenged. Even if you sit alone in a hut somewhere.
That's true. I think that's funny. I think oftentimes, right? So like to your point, the sitting in a hut, I actually find that sometimes some of my greater thoughts or better thoughts, I guess to say, are when I take that time to be alone and like take the time to think, be like, hey, like, what do I really think about this? Or what am I really using my time effectively here? And when I spend my time doing that, then it almost gives me better ideas of how I could use it more productively, or I could use it to live a life that's more fulfilling and things along those lines. And I think, especially spending that time with yourself and really thinking, I think that's important. And I think everyone should do that, because oftentimes we get so caught up in life, so to speak. And that repetition, like, oh, got to get to work, got to drive, and I found myself like when I do some things that are repetitive, you almost get bored.
You are bored. That's why accidents happen. People are just not conscious. They're driving a car and driving a motorcycle, they're not conscious. This is why accidents happen. This is why you can't. That's why AI is better to do repetitive tasks than human. A computer is better to do a repetitive task than a human. If it's a repetitive task, but not because since every human is different, there is very few repetitive tasks. There are repetitive tasks, and obviously we're getting better in doing this like a computer, right? I mean, you remember the first computers and whatever. We're getting better in it, and we should explore that, because systems like AI and computers should help us expand our human potential. But if we are hooked in to maintain them, to download new apps all the time, to update this, that's a system again. And we are unconscious that we actually, it helps us a lot, but at the same time, we get the maintenance and the navigation, how to find something. I mean, Google is the greatest thing when you ask who was Abraham Lincoln. But is Google really an issue? When you say, how do I find my ability? You don't. There's 5 steps, and humans don't work by steps. Humans are fluid. They just experience, and they will know from there, and everybody's experience is different. And computers can't do this. There's simplest tasks. Who was Abraham Lincoln? But then there is other human tasks. For example, all these things, LinkedIn, Twitter, all these things, they don't have anything about human potential. That keyword doesn't even exist there. I mean, freaking LinkedIn is all about human potential. It's all also system thing, but even LinkedIn is the system adaptability. It's if you are to figure out, are you system adaptable? Can you fit in a niche, but in systems, not in a niche in humans? And I think if we can change just that in systems, that it is human first, nature first, would make systems so much more enjoyable and would have more fun doing the systems, you know? And I think that's what we need to be aware of.
I think the hardest thing, so I mean, this is a question I think that would come up with kind of that line of thought, is how do you measure human potential, right? Like, because as human beings, I think we like to measure things, right? Like we measure like, oh, I have this much food, will last this long, right? Like it's pretty in our brains, like we like to measure things. So I guess that's awareness. What I want to ask. How do you awareness?
Okay, of course, because when I was, I told you I was sick and stuff. I tried to survive every day. I'm now explaining to you how my childhood was out of a contextual perception. But then, when I was DJ then, or when I did fashion shows, when I did all this stuff, I lived day by day. When I sold my mixtape tapes, I wasn't thinking. I was completely unaware. I just loved doing the music tapes, and people liked it too, so I could sell them. I could have a little bit more pocket money. It's the unawareness. That's why I'm saying it's not about knowledge, because knowledge is a system defined. Okay, how do I update my computer? That is knowledge, right? And you know that knowledge, and I know this knowledge, but I know it better, or you know it better, and you know it differently. But how do we update it? That's why all this, because everybody's different, you can do it a different kind of way, right? I mean, a computer allows you to, can I go this way or that way? But it all is about awareness and not anything else, because awareness is for once you're aware, like what we do here, we're actually showing what awareness and how it gets together through discourse, which is, I say, the second big superpower, discourse, human discourse. When humans talk to humans in a healthy discourse, not to be right, not to be system-defined, the discourse, but human-defined and nature-defined. And the third one is our adaptability, because no system would work without our adaptability. Nobody would survive a concentration camp or racism or whatever, slavery, if we weren't adaptable. And, the abuse in workplaces and whatever. So we are extremely adaptable, and we have to be aware of these three superpowers that we have. Now, coming to a thing, it's the awareness of, that's why I say, know thyself, and know how humans function outside of systems, not in systems. In systems, we know. We have everything. You think, oh, she's a woman. She's a human. She's not a woman. She's a human. She's defined as a human and was segregated and put down because the system said warriors are more important. The king was saying, oh my God, I have all these people I'm taking care of. I need war. I need to conquer things, That's system expansion. That's not human potential expansion. It's the system expansion. It's the physical. So let's just take up the next town over there. Let's take that over and kill them. And the woman need to, and then the system says, if I do this, I have to cook. I have to bear children to get more soldiers. And that's how the system defined, not human and man. I mean, do you think anybody thinks in the animal kingdom, is this a woman or no? Unless they procreate? No, they are a lion and there's a lion. Okay, fine. Zebra, elephant. Are they aware they're a woman? Yes, but it's not a problem unless you want to mate. So it comes to this thing, and then we conquered more towns, and all of a sudden we had people that look different than us. What the hell are we doing? Now we define them, but since we conquered that, they have to be lower in the value, because we are the victor. And so then we say sex right now, this sexual debate of different, it's just a definition, because we can't do sexual because everybody's fluid sexually. That's why the definition, the system definition of sexuality is hitting the wall. It cannot. It cannot think because everybody's fluid. There's men out there much more feminine than women, and there's a woman out there that's much more masculine than men.
That's very interesting. I think your idea on fluidity, I think a lot of people are that way, but I think some people maybe they kind of, I guess I'm going to ask this question. I'll use it as the intelligent question of the day. But some people, I don't know, maybe I'm just not aware of this yet, but they like structure and order type of thing, right? Like they like to have an order of things, feel like they're in control of.
It's a human grace.
Like their universe.
It's a human grace. Order is a human grace. We have that. That's a grace in us to make order. That is a human grace. Like the monkey does something else, the elephant might do something else. Our grace is to do order. We have that in us. That's inherent in us.
Gotcha. So it's just a part of us. We like to have like law, order, just kind of that structure to our lives. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is if we are naturally fluid, but yet we want order and structure, don't you think that kind of clashes
because
together?
we have a yin and yang. We are fluid in being, but we are also, okay, now DNA, what does DNA say? DNA says we are herd animals, right? So that's why everybody wants on social media. That's why the kids are not addicted to the iPhone. They're addicted to their DNA drive that says, I need to connect. I need to be a part of. I need to be. That's why everybody's on the cell phone. And if they are not, and they're segregated, then killing. Now you have all these suicides. So we have a drive to want to be part of, but also through ordering, through being in order, you find out your specialty too. So because you order, let's say, buttons, and they say, oh my God, Josh is the best button organizer. Was never easy for me, human potential, to find a button. He made a system with his order. You put the little drawers and all that stuff, where I needed to first go through a jar of buttons to find the right button. And I can now in 5 minutes find the correct button for my blouse or whatever. And that's human potential. And you found that through, well, another does buttons organizing and there's no organization. But he or she cooks something that is transformative or makes an herb that I'm going always back to the tribe because I want to remind the listeners that this is very different than a system saying, okay, you can study organizing buttons. You can study this. You get a degree in organizing buttons. That's a different story. In your case, in our case, our example, you found the puzzle piece that you are in the whole, because that's your DNA drive, to find the puzzle piece of the whole. Where are you fitting? And then the puzzle itself, society, our world, recognize that you are the best sorter, and it takes that innovation, gives you money for it, and you will be remembered, like Henry Ford that you fit with your puzzle piece into the humanity. And you will remember because it was correct, because Henry Ford could be a loser and not do anything good, and on trying Disney. Now look at Disney. And I'm going in system on purpose, so you see, the guy went 8 times or 9 times bankrupt till he found, but through systems, the system had no need for him. Perhaps the first 8 innovations that he had were better than the Disneyland, but in the system, he didn't fit in. And once we compartmentalize this system versus human, just that awareness makes life 70% lighter. Because you're not feeling the shame of a system that works 24 hours, 7 days a week. It does not sleep. It doesn't need sleep. Like you said, we need sleep. We need to balance, because our power for human potential is in being balanced. And to balance, humans need to be together, congregate, even talk to each other, communicate, be with each other, and then we are balanced, and then we can in balance we can do anything. We are limitless. We are there's no problem that we can't solve.
I think you're right on. I think especially being well balanced is very important in what you do in your life. Like, and I like the example you used with Henry Ford, where he was very good at what he did, and that's how he was remembered, and he invented cars which were able to transport us across the globe, right? And same with the airplane, right?
Yeah.
They tapped in. Like, I don't know if you know the story of the airplane, but the Wright brothers aren't the ones that profited off of the invention of the airplane. It was Boeing, because he recognized, hey, we could build these so then it can hold people, lots of people, and transport them across the globe. But the thing is, what I'm getting at is the Wright brothers were there to actually make humans fly, right? That's what they were good at. They knew how to do it.
Human potential.
They helped, exactly, the human potential. And then Boeing was there. His potential was to create it so then we could transport large amounts of people across the globe. And that's his human potential. So hopefully that makes sense. And I apologize. I've enjoyed learning from you. This has been very deep discussion and something I think a lot of people can benefit from. So I kind of want to get kind of your last thoughts. What do you want the audience to take away from you? And then also at the end, if you could share, I know you mentioned you have a couple books, you've published music, things like that. If you could share where the best way people could reach out to you and do that, that'd be great.
You want me to say a final thought? I said, see the true north that in me is human and nature. So if I have a problem in a system, I look, what does nature do? How does nature resolve this? Plants, animals, whatever. Because we are part of nature. So it basically is an encyclopedia for how to remind us of how we function, right? So always look at nature and other humans. If you want to experience human potential power, just hang out with other humans of same man thought. So this is a perfect example, because you and I, we come from different sides, but we have experience. We have through living this podcast episode, shown what I mean of awareness and what the power is of conversation. That's why I think people are so sick of system news and system information. That's why podcasts are exploding. Not because nobody makes money with podcasts. I mean, there's Joe Rogan, but or Howard Stern. But there's an intrinsic value in this, that just to experience that superpower that we have. And I think that's why there's so many people don't give up on podcasts. They keep doing, and the listener can literally listens and can gauge, because he has that in humanity, because you would know if I freak out right now, right? Or I would know how to deal with you, and we've never met, So we have an intrinsic thing, and the listener feels that, and that's why all the news shows and all this stuff goes down, because it's not enough. It's system, and every system is limited. It's not enough. Gotcha. It's not enough, and so take nature and be aware of system. That's my final to wrap this episode. And look at this episode a couple of times. Then there's nothing to learn. There's no steps. It's about awareness. And all you find me to do, I've written 5 books, whatever. And again, that's not business. That's not a business, books. I made $56 last year on 5 books, So we need to stop system lying, Once you have a book, you have all that stuff, and then the system says, give the book for free. And this could be another conversation that we have. The value system doesn't work anymore. We don't have the time. Now we pivoted that we literally have no time to consume what we all create, the services and goods. We literally have no time. So you wonder why some of the podcasts have 0 views or whatever, is because people have not the time to find them. And you are lied to from systems to say, oh, you had so much engagement. And when I look at stuff, I had 15,000 listeners to an interview, and I said, and nobody. If I had listeners, I know people would contact me, and if nobody contact me or make you made so many comments about our talk in the episode. So if I had 15,000 viewers or clicks or whatever, where are the comments? Where's the reaction? Where's the interaction with another person? We love to interact. Yeah, we are pissed at everything, right? We're right or wrong, but interaction can be different. So and you find me on michaelm.com. I have to force that short because otherwise Josh and I are talking for 8 hours. So because it can be it's that exciting. Yeah.
Yes.
It's michaelm.com. Michael with 2 L's. Michael with 2 L's and M. michaelm.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael, for coming on today. I've enjoyed having you. So everyone, as you can tell, that is Michael. He's a very intelligent person, had great things to say. I challenge you guys, if you heard anything that you liked or heard today, to reach out to him. I'm sure he would love to talk with you guys. Stay tuned till next week. We have a great guest lined up for you guys. See you guys next week, and let's get after it. Hey everyone, if you liked this episode and would like to hear more, be sure to hit that subscribe or follow button. We release a new episode every Wednesday for you guys to listen to. Thank you guys so much for the support that you give. We could not have done this without you guys. If you would like to be a potential guest on the show, check out intelligentconvos.com and fill out the form there. Thank you guys again, and let's get after it.